It's a really bad day for the BBC because they haven't just got caught up in a fake news scandal around what's happening, the war in Gaza, with the suggestion and the reporting that a woman was suffering from malnutrition and who actually died was in fact a cancer patient, and they've apologised and removed the post, but too little too late. But they've got another problem, which is Sally Rooney, who's a celebrated author whose very popular novels have been adapted into a TV series on the BBC, has pledged to all of her royalties, her BBC royalties, will go towards the proscribed terror group Palestine Action. Another woke lovey with dangerous opinions which are highly fashionable, which sound great in dinner parties, but from which the consequences she is insulated. Let's get the reaction out of a good friend of mine, former BBC radio legend Alex Dyke. Hi, Alex.
Hi, Mark. It's lovely to be back on with you. Can I just quickly say, I feel like, do you remember when Bobby Ewing left Dallas and they did a whole series and then he suddenly came back from the dead and he was in the shower and it had all been a dream? That's how I feel about your return to your spiritual home talk.
Well, I'm so pleased to hear that. And you are J.R. Ewing as far as I'm concerned, with a glass of scotch and a drunk Sue Ellen. Thank you for those kind words. And yes, we'll pretend the last 3.5 years didn't happen. That's not a bad shout. Now, Alex, this is awkward, isn't it, for the BBC? Now, this is not a BBC policy, but it's somebody that's contributed to the BBC. Her novel's obviously very popular, very successful, and she is pledging to support Palestine Action, who are a proscribed terror group, using her BBC royalties. It's just another example, isn't it, of a wealthy celebrity insulated from the consequences of their own luxury beliefs.
Yes, absolutely. And I know you're expecting me to come on and give it to the BBC.
Never.
But actually, they have paid her royalties to turn one or two of her books into dramas. And then Sally gets her wages from the BBC. She gets her money, and then it's up to her what she spends that money on. I agree that it's a very awkward connection now for the BBC. And I was listening to Benedict earlier, and one of the problems for the BBC is now that people don't warm to them, now the BBC is not known as Auntie, everybody is waiting to pounce. This is, I think, one of those occasions, Mark, where it's up to Sally Rooney what she does with her money. She's been paid by the BBC. I mean, if I was the BBC, I'd make sure that those programmes were never, ever repeated. I would remove them from iPlayer. Maybe they've done that to break the connection, because it's a very bad look for the BBC, the way it's being married up in the media.
Well, that's exactly right, because we're all for free speech. And if anyone is against cancel culture, it is myself. And of course, you as well, Alex, because you were slightly cancelled by the BBC, I think, for being far too entertaining and maybe not politically correct enough. But you were great when you were on BBC Radio, you're a BBC Radio legend. The issue that this woman's got is that she's actually breaking the law, potentially. She wrote Normal People, which was the big hit novel and then TV show, which I thought was quite dull, but there you go, it's all about opinions. And she risks committing a terror offence under UK law if she does divert her BBC income towards Palestine Action. So it'd be quite funny if she winds up in jail for this.
Well, she's been saying this, Mark, hasn't she, in the safety of being able to say it and have this published in Ireland. I wouldn't imagine that Keir Starmer and his government would ever go after her for this. But if she says something spiteful about another mum in the playground on Facebook, then she might do some jail time.
Exactly. I just wonder whether she would like to speak to the families of the hostages still being held by Hamas post October the 7th. I mean, this is an issue. Is there not a difference between these wealthy celebrities and the rest of the public who live in the real world, have common sense? You know, I'm thinking of Emma Thompson, who goes on Extinction Rebellion marches, even though she also travels first class British Airways, you know, between New York and London, and has got multiple houses. You know, is there an issue with the sort of rather wealthy elites and the rest of us?
I think with these left-wing wealthy people, who have these dinner parties and spout all of this stuff, there's a couple of things. First of all, I think there's some guilt to having the money. Yes, they're going to send Toby to private school and he will be driven in the family Range Rover, but they're saying all the things that they should be saying if they're on the left. And the thing about the left is people who think they're being noble. And it's easy to spout this stuff off from your ivory tower, but it's just madness and it's cruel. And you're right. Show these people the victims, show them the suffering and say to them, now say it in front of a BBC microphone or on ITV news or whatever. Yeah. And maybe it would be a different... They just don't realise it. The thing about Gaza, Mark, is it's been going on so long and none of us really in Britain can get to the bottom of what's happening. It's so entangled and there's atrocities happening on both sides. And if I was a famous author, I could say something like that and it might sound good and it might get retweeted, but also it would alienate most of the people on the other side. Why, if you're a successful author, why would Sally Rooney want to alienate more than 50% of her readers? It's stupidity.
Well, yes, I don't know if you saw the deleted video by Dawn French, supposed comedy national treasure, who did a allegedly humorous satirical video which was posted on X, in which she talked about October the 7th as they did a bad thing, which I think is up there with Gary Lineker referring to October the 7th as the Hamas thing. I mean, these folks live on another planet, don't they?
They certainly do. They certainly do. And I don't want to hear, and I don't need to hear, Dawn French's opinion on this. And I would never put something on social media from me about anything like that, because Dawn French doesn't know enough. Gary Lineker doesn't know enough. I don't know enough. Leave it to the people that are either experts in the field or people who have lived the life and lived through the trauma. They're the people that I want to hear from.
Now, Gary Lineker has blasted his former boss, the head of BBC Sport, in an interview. He said he watched Match of the Day without him obviously in the host chair. He said he quite enjoyed it. He went out to dinner somewhere probably very expensive because he's a multi-millionaire thanks to you and I, Alex, and the people watching and listening to this show through the licence fee. What was it, £1.4 million a year to talk about football? Well, he's out of the BBC now because, of course, he shared some horrific anti-Semitic material on social media. He did call October the 7th the Hamas thing very dismissively, and he's got lots of other issues regarding his political position. But now the latest thing now is he blasted his boss saying he enjoyed Match of the Day, but he said the new bosses wanted to come in and change everything, and that was a big mistake, and he said luckily they didn't. But do you think it's a good look for Gary Lineker to still be attacking his former employers?
No, I think the thing about the BBC, I describe the BBC, Mark, as when I worked there, and there's lots of other jobs, but when I worked in the BBC is like a warm bath. When you get into it, it's lovely. And people were trying to get into that bath, but you're in the bath. And if you've got a good show and you've got great ratings, it's easy to think, whether it's TV or radio, I've got a gig for life. I've built those ratings. I'm responsible for this time slot being really good. Show me some respect and give me a job for life. But we're all just hired hands. And I had I think a 17-year run at the BBC.
Amazing.
Gary Lineker did 26 years. So I made some notes because I thought you might be asking. So he gets 1.35 million a year. Now, he wouldn't have got that for 26 years because obviously his wages have gone up and up and up. So let's just say he's been paid by the BBC £15 million in the last quarter of a century. Let's just say, as a rough figure,
conservatively,
that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you put in his crisp commercials, his after-dinner speaking, his endorsements, his podcasts, all the stuff that you and I don't know about. He's a very, very rich, privileged man, and he should shut up because no one cares about his politics. I don't know why he's doing it. I think these people start to believe their own publicity, that their opinion really, really matters. And Mark, you've done loads of opinionated radio and TV in your time.
Just a bit.
And you know that you go on and you give an opinion and then both sides chip in, and then you turn the microphone off and you go home, and the next day you think about something else. But with these celebrities on social media, I don't know why they do it. It's a very, very bad look. I would say, Mark, that at least he watched it. And you and I have been fired from many radio stations and TV stations, and we know that we never go back to the station that fired us and watch it again, because we can't bear to watch it. John Lennon once said, when he retired in 1975, before he came back in 1980 for that last album, he said, I can't listen to the radio because I know everything on it would be rubbish. All the music's going to be rubbish unless it's better. And if it's better than me, I'm going to hate that too, so you can't please me. So at least he watched it, but did he watch it just for a chance to put something on social media to make himself look good? I don't know, but I just think the guy should shut up.
Well, listen, I'm so glad you were cancelled, because the BBC's loss is our gain. Alex Dyke will catch up really soon. Fantastic to see you.